Hello, world changers. Rochelle Johnson with RJS Global Consulting Services. How we doing today? I hope you powered up and ready to roll as we get into this today. I got some hot tips for you. I have gathered 6 great tips for you to look at for your networking and your marketing. How to do it all. So grab your pen and get ready for this. I'm excited about it. So, I know that we have discussed, and if you missed it, and you need to go back, but we discussed networking and the importance of networking. Well, today I want you to take heed to tip number 1. Focus on one prospect at a time. And let me put this disclaimer out there. We doing this together. I'm not going to proclaim that I got it all figured out. These are notes to me, and they're notes to you, but reminders that I have to do them at the same time that I share with you. So focusing on one prospect at a time, that comes from me knowing that, okay, Rochelle, just because you can do 99 things, you can't do all 99 at the same time. So what I mean by that, okay, just because I met Jane Doe and John Doe at a networking event, both of them are working in a lane that I have expertise in, but they both need assistance at the same time. I have to only choose one because I don't want to under-deliver to the other. Because I have more experience for what Jane Doe is doing and more time. So because your time and your talent matches for that particular lane, then that's what you want to go with. And you still keep the conversation going with John Doe and just let them know that, okay, we're going to connect on a future date, but keep entertaining the conversation. Don't let it die out while you're working with Jane Doe on her project. You just want to make sure that you're giving your best and you're delivering. And I'm just speaking of this when it's a one-man show. Now, if you have a team that you can tackle all of those things at one time, great. But I'm talking about when you're small and you got 1 to 3 people on the battlefield with you. So focus on one prospect at a time. That will help you perform better. That will help you build your relationship, your reputation, and your audience. Because if you're performing with one person at one time and that's the prospect that you're working with, you're going to give them your best. And you're going to deliver. And once you deliver, your reputation is going to precede you. And once your reputation get out there that you are this, that, and the other, in a bag of chips, then your audience grow. And it's a win-win. Number 1, I'm going to say it again. Focus on one prospect at a time. Okay? Just because you can do everything. Note to self. Don't mean you can do all things at one time. Number 2, put your prospects ahead of your quota and sale numbers. Let me digest that with you. When I wrote it down, I said, finger pointing at me first. Don't think about the end game. When I say the end game in this particular situation, I mean the sales, the numbers, or what the profit is going to be. Yes, it's important. Very important. Because as we know, money is the resource that keep all things going. So we get it. But again, we are building a reputation, and we want to make sure that we deliver with excellence. So putting your prospect ahead of your quota is being intentional about what it is that you're going into business with, making sure that it aligns with everything that you are saying that you can deliver. We do not want to look at the end game, the numbers, the potential profit that can be made, but in the process ruin a long-term business relationship. I shared before about type of dating styles that you want with your business partners and colleagues. If you just want speed dating and you don't care about your name out here in these streets, then you're going to play dirty. Then just understand that you're not going to have long-term business relationships. But if you're looking for something more long-term and potential marriage, you want to do this right, okay? And that's when you put your prospect ahead of the number. Let that marinate in your spirit. Put your prospect ahead of the number. Let's go back to the analogy. If you potentially want to make this your long-term boo thing, you're going to do it right. You're going to start off right. You're going to make sure that everything that you put on paper lines up and that you deliver, and you deliver with consistency. But we're going to get into that. I think number 2 should have been number 1 that I think about it. The more I'm thinking about it, again, note to self first, it's very important to put your prospect ahead of anything else that's behind it, because that's going into it with a pure, genuine understand and pure, genuine intentions of, I'm going to do this right. I'm all in, and I want to make sure that it shows in my delivery that I'm all in. Yeah, I feel like I got some more on that, but stay tuned for that one. You're going to hear about this again. I feel it. I feel a strong nudge that you're going to hear about that one again. Number 3, focus on helping one team member with one obstacle at a time. Prioritizing what's important. So if you have that team member that's not strong in one area, because again, we're not all capable of doing all things, and we're not strong. If we lie and say that we got strength in every area, then that's a conversation for another day. But as you're building your team and you know who you're working with and what you have on your team, and those things that are considered shortcomings or things that they are not the strongest at, then it's a learning curve. Once you find out exactly what it is that they need help with, it becomes a teachable moment, and you help them hone in on that until they strengthen themselves up in that area, or even up to the point to where they're able to produce with better strength. So focusing on helping one team member at a time, because just like I said prior, you can't do all things at once. So just really creating action items for each person on your team. And as always, make sure that you continue to look at you first to make sure that you deliver to those that are working with you, because the last thing we want to do is hurt the help. We're not hurting the help. We're going to keep the help in good condition, keep their spirit fed and full, okay? Number 4, focus on one task at a time. So now we talked about focusing on one prospect. Now we're talking about focusing on one task, because they not interchangeable. What you're doing with that prospect is one thing. And I'm going to go beyond this prospect. I'm going to say we didn't already lock them in. They're our client. We know exactly what we're doing with them. So you will be able to focus on everything that you're doing with that client. But once you get the client, there's different things in different phases in most contracts and most things that you're doing. Everything will look different. Each different client will bring about a different set of responsibilities. So I just want you to look at it as if you have a 6-month situation going on, and with this 6-month contract with this client, that you only focus on one thing at a time to deliver within 6 months. So you don't want to have it where you are trying to take huge bites. I'm trying to speak and make sure I don't use my analogies and all of my Rochelleism as I'm speaking. Because I was finna say, we're not going to eat the elephant at one time. You're just going to take small bites. But politically correct, we're going to work on one task at a time, and we're going to organize it in a way that we can deliver and complete and see it through to the end in phases. So one task at a time. Number 5, Break down each goal into multiple steps. See, I'm reiterating it. Break down each goal into multiple steps and strive to achieve individual steps instead of all of them at once. And I kind of just spoke on that, but I reiterate. Breaking it down. So I'm going to use a year contracts. So you have a year contract with this client, and they are working with an oil and gas contract. I'm just using something, pulling out the air right now. They're working on the oil and gas contract. They are to deliver administrative services. And the oil and gas company have a year to respond to a particular procurement. Your role for them is to provide all their administrative duties. So you would start off by finding out what's due first, what needs to be, what are they expected to do? Is it personnel? Is it back office, payroll? Getting a clear understanding on all things that need to be completed throughout the duration of this 1 year contract. And then at that point, you break down each goal into multiple steps. So this when you go back to your team members and understanding who has the strength and what capacity they can serve in. And once you find that out, you prioritize each one of those goals into those steps and make it last throughout the year, but to where you also have time to go back and reiterate some of the things that needed to be delivered and giving yourself a window. Always give yourself a window to make sure that you are able to close the deal by its due date, but do it with excellence. So I would like to say that you give yourself a 2-month window to clean up. So finishing at month 10, but going back and just kind of fine-tooth combing it. Make sure it's pristine before you deliver. We always want to shine, okay? And tip number 6, focus on one step of the inviting formula at a time. What I mean by that is, when you are fine-tuning everything, you want to make sure that you are going back to the original game plan. Once you originally signed and took in the oil and gas company as your client, what was the original formula that you told them that you was going to deliver? And make sure, now this one I'm going to get cliche, make sure that you cross all T's and dot all I's. Line by line, precept by precept, we're going to make sure that it's done until the point that we are delivering what we said that we were going to do. Because the biggest thing that you want to do and always do is make sure that you're consistent. You want to be known for being consistent, whether it's with your business relationships, in all areas of your life. But I'm not going to preach. But we want to stay consistent, which ties me into my next topic about consistency. I have here about marketing. Your marketing, your visibility, everything that you deliver, you want to make sure that you're consistent. If you're consistent in your deliverables, then your audience would appreciate in knowing that you're going to show up, that they can expect to hear from you on the topic that you strongly advocate on, or what you stand for, what's your niche. Being consistent, that's the most important. And if I can just explain to you in a non-business term, think about in your personal life. Those people that you respect and those people that you adhere to when you want to receive something or you need something, you typically or should lean towards the person that's consistent. Because if they're consistent in everything else that they've done, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, that will help you better understand if that's your person. If I'm having an issue with budgeting, and I know somebody that's know how to budget, they're well with their finances, you have seen that they have been consistent with the way that they handle money, you will be prone to reaching out to that person that's showing you to be consistent. So I pay attention to how consistent someone is, and I pay attention if I'm being consistent, because we have to watch patterns. Watching patterns is what help us discern and decipher who we doing business with or who we need to be connected to. So whether it's in your business life or your personal life, consistency matters. And when I say business or personal, I mean because that's how we have to operate as business owners. We have to really remember, okay, in my personal life, would I even tolerate this? Is this okay? If it's a boundary that's being crossed and that's not something that I would tolerate on a personal side, I dare myself do it in my business. So, and that goes back to understanding that we are healed in our areas and that we understand our position and who we are and where we at, because healed business owners make successful business owners. But that's an understanding that you have to get with yourself, and we discussed that in great lengths in a prior video. So I'm not going to get on that soapbox, but consistency, that's very important, and making sure that you are consistent in your show up. That's the bottom line, being consistent in how you show up and what you deliver when you show up, consistent on what you're saying, and really just showing the integrity side of you, making sure that you are who you say you are. And the last thing you want to do is being known for being inconsistent or not delivering with good ethics. At least I know I don't. When somebody say Rochelle, I want them to say, oh yes. And not that I need it for self-reassurance, but I demand myself to make sure that I deliver well and that that I'm spoken highly of because I deliver what I said I was going to do. So consistency. Just make sure that just as often as you have to remind yourself, I want to make sure that I'm consistent. Okay? And if that's the word that you need to put on your board or your reminder, consistent. Just be consistent. That's all for today, World Changers. Stay consistent, keep being great, and stay tuned.